Select Board meeting of Thursday, May 9th, 2024. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Adoption of the agenda. Apparently, we're going to remove the consent agenda and address the items separately.
Yep. Well, I move that we approve the minutes anyway. No, I'm, so wait till we get to them, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't get excited.
Oh, I've jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
Do you have an app today?
No, I didn't, actually. I should have.
Public comment? Probably not. Select Board announcements?
Nothing for me.
Is this going already?
Yeah, started.
We're over, you're late.
I'm late, all right, so I was gonna say hello to everybody, I'm not gonna now.
Nope,
I'm gonna sit down. All right.
I wish you would.
Is this on TV?
Yep.
it is.
Mr. Chairman, did you move on from changes of the agenda? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we
Got a
got the
couple
mo,
other-
okay, whatever. I move that we make the changes.
Agenda.
Oh, I meant, did you move off of it?
We did.
We did.
Because also
What'd I do?
asking if you move item 16 to after item 18,
Yep.
Oh, sorry about that.
and then the consent agenda, as you noted, and then there's a couple of items that you don't have to state right now that we'll address under other business.
I'm not the only one jumping the gun around here.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Where are we?
Now we're good.
No announcements, okay.
All right, Town Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to report to the board that we have had a gentleman in Harpswell who has a tree company, Ben Stewart, working on cleaning up all the debris on the roadside as a result of the, what I would call the spring storms, the ice storm and the snowstorm, you know, lots of branches on the sides of the road, near the road. So his collective costs are approaching $10,000, and I just wanted to make the board aware of that. He had been communicating with the road commissioner, and the road commissioner had been keeping me informed, and I intended to bring this up at an earlier select board meeting. We felt it was an emergency situation,
Yep.
which is why it was authorized, but technically, I only have the authority to authorize $5,000 or less. So I wanted to bring this to your attention and make sure.
Is it
You-
all roads or just town roads?
Just town roads,
Okay.
just town
'cause the
roads.
state will do the state.
Right,
roads,
right, not state roads. So, we did receive a report from somebody in the Bethel Point area that he had done an outstanding job, and Bethel Point was one of the worst impacted town roads. So I think he spent a lot of time over there. We were trying to ensure that he could chip and leave what he was able to, but then there are some larger items that will need to be transported to the transfer station, so.
So what do you need, approval for more money?
I think just
How much?
for
How
the
much you want?
select board to acknowledge,
All right,
again, we don't have a final figure, and the other thing I will say is, it's possible that this storm could be declared a federal disaster. We've been asked to submit information, but it's hard to tell how widespread
Yeah.
the storm was, excuse me, and whether or not it will actually, be declared a
Right.
federal disaster. So
Right.
I think this could be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range, and I just wanted to make you aware of that and
Okay.
have consensus that you were okay with it.
got my nod.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So typically, I would have brought it to you a lot sooner, but anyway, been busy. The other items I'd like some feedback from the board on, we are planning to fill the town planner position and a newly created communications position. And I would like to ask if we have a member of the board who would like to serve on the interview committee for town planner, another member to serve on the interview team for the communications specialist.
Oh, I could be
Looking.
the communication specialist. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
You'd like to do that? Okay.
I hired the first town planner, by the way, years ago. but
So it's you or me, Kevin. How do you feel?
not necessarily. I could do both, but
That seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I have one more offer too, for revaluation companies. So the town has
Oh,
boy.
put out an RFP. We have
Oh, yeah.
2 responses, 2 interviews being set up next week, one on Thursday afternoon, one Friday morning. So I would like a member of the board to participate in that process.
Would you like that one?
gonna fight over that, you guys?
Or do you want me to take it? If you don't want it, you say so.
I think planner would be, I'd like to do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So does that leave you with the reval?
Yep.
The
Okay.
reval guy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Everybody's happy.
Have Mark write up a bunch of questions for us also.
I will say, if anyone's listening, send your applications in, because we're really not getting a lot of applications. It's a really small applicant pool.
There you go, Roger. There you go.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. All right, approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Consider use of special revenue fund for recreation.
So thank you for making those agenda adjustments. We did put a couple of payments on tonight's warrant that we can certainly pull off, and so it was appropriate that we move that down and discuss these 2 items. So you have received a memo from the Recreation Director, Gina Caldwell, and there was some emergency, very limited time. Oh, am I too loud?
Yeah, we get feedback. Try that.
I was too close, Marion, I believe.
No, that makes it worse.
So you do have a memo from your Recreation Director, and Willie C. and Sons did some repairs to the field that were necessary, and the time frame was a very short time. The season was opening, and they actually donated about $4,000 worth of labor and equipment to do the work. The town's cost is $3,949, but her request to you is to use up to $5,000 of the special revenue fund to help pay for that landscaping work. Also, a new dugout is needed, which will be built by volunteers, but material and painting. And they also had to buy some new equipment for the field, since the field was then repaired, could play on it and needed some new equipment. And as the board knows, the town has a policy regarding use of the special revenue fund for recreation. The purpose of the policy is to make sure that the funds collected for recreational purposes are expended for recreational purposes. And it also requires approval from the Recreation Committee, which is meeting next week. If the board sees it appropriate to approve this evening, you could do it pending on the Recreation Committee's approval of the request as well.
Okay.
So the obvious question is, how much money is in the special revenue fund?
So at the end of 2023, there was just slightly over $44,000.
Ooh, okay, I move we allow them to spend up to 5,000.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess they can handle it, all right.
So then the second item, approval of an ambulance repair, again, on the warrant tonight is a bill regarding, the board is very familiar through the budget season and last year, that the Harpswell ambulance had severe corrosion to the chassis. And in 2023, voters approved $15,000 in the Harpswell Fire and Rescue request for funding, because at that time, it was estimated to be a $15,000 repair. As everything around the world is going up in costs, it went up, the estimate went up to approximately $22,000. So we knew that going into it and planned on requesting use of the emergency vehicles account for the balance. And so the long-awaited repairs have been done, very labor-intensive project. And the final cost came in at $20,286.68. And so $15,000 would come from the carryover, And then we're requesting use of $5,286.68 from the emergency vehicles reserve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then those two payments are on the warrants, if you'd like to review and consider your warrants.
Yeah, I move we authorize the warrants.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, we have 5 minutes before a public hearing, so I suggest we move on to number 7 to the,
Oh, yes.
I'm happy to introduce agenda item number 7. So this is a situation that is in front of the board because of a result of the January storms. And there was a commercial fishing dock, a wharf, that was taken down in those January storms. It has historically been in that location, at least according to the town's files that we have, since 1991. And it had gone through an approval process. We saw records where the town Board of Selectmen were well aware and authorized and approved what was in front of the board at that time. We were not able to find that this had gone to a town meeting. I don't know if anyone, I don't think it did. I think that's how situations were handled at that time period by the town. So fast forward, this is a wharf that is owned by Frank Beecrist. He has applied to rebuild the dock in the same location where it has been located. 1 foot higher is what we understand. They have submitted their application material to the town of Harpswell's Code Enforcement Office. They're going through the process of getting any and all permits that are necessary. So one of the issues that we raised with them recently was this idea of having a lease from the town of Harpswell. And originally, we discussed maybe the select board could enter into a 1-year lease, then we would do the town meeting. But we got some advice from our town council that said, better to go to the town meeting and get the multi-year lease agreement done. We're having a special town meeting in June on the 15th. So in the meantime, it was recommended as a practical solution that this board could consider authorizing Mr. Beecrist to move forward once he has all the permits in place, knowing that it is at his own risk until the town meeting authorizes the select board to execute a multi-year lease. Now, in the meantime, we can be working with Mr. Beecrist on what that lease agreement will be like, and we would assume that it will be on the warrant on the June 15th.
Is this language suggested by council?
Yes.
Okay.
I reviewed that. I wrote the memo, I reviewed it with the town attorney, and it was suggested that as long as everyone understands the risk that there is this town meeting approval required for a long-term lease, that things could get started, realizing that that piece has to occur. And so the board is essentially giving like provisional right, title, and interest to kind of move forward.
is any of this? Oh, we got a couple, you know that.
Has anyone
Oh,
discussed,
State your name.
Roger Allen, Cundy's Harbor,
There we go.
native. Has anyone discussed with your lawyers, this should be totally grandfathered? Totally. There should be no lease issued. It's grandfathered, it's over 40 years, we know of, we only got since 91. It's been there, and technically it does not, it comes on tidal waters, really. We have to get, if you see where the boundaries are. So this should be totally grandfathered. We shouldn't be at the mercy of voting for the town. We're only replacing what's been there for decades.
I don't see any risk for you, though.
Well, we have to go to a special town meeting, and we could have it all built. What happens if it don't get approved, Kevin?
You get enough relatives to make sure it gets built.
Well, it will get built,
Get them all to vote, that's all.
you know. It just seems like a catch-22. It's a risk. But was that discussed, Christie?
I think this idea of the fact that you want to rebuild in that location, it makes it a grandfathered situation.
It is.
But the fact that you never had a lease previously.
We were given approval by the selectmen at the town. You have the final say as selectmen, and we were given that, we got the final say. They didn't issue a lease then, so we shouldn't have to get a lease now.
But they may not have sought advice at that time, and maybe they should have. So I think we're trying to,
It should be grandfathered,
yeah.
totally. We were given approval, we're just putting us through stuff that we shouldn't have to go through. I know your heart's in the right place, but this should be totally grandfathered.
It's,
I,
I meant to go and look at it today. I know where it is, but the question is, it sits on town property,
Yes.
on the end of the
Yeah,
landing.
you access it over
but
town
you
property.
could-
we access it,
Yeah,
Right.
right.
But-
yeah. It's shy, you look at your lines where your town lines is, it's a little bit shy of that line.
We do have a survey
Yep.
that Brian Johnson did. So,
You got two surveys, one that Coombs did and one.
yeah,
no.
but that was done many years ago, and we have an updated one that was done in 2015.
It didn't seem like this is being discussed as being totally grandfathered. I think you missed it.
No, see,
I-
You see what I mean, Kevin?
yeah, I don't think we did miss it. This is the best outcome for you. This lease could outlive Emily.
Well, it wouldn't take long at our age.
Hope so.
No, I said outlive, I mean, it could be a lengthy year lease.
Yeah. Is there any stipulations on the lease, insurances or anything like that?
Well,
Yes.
when something's on town property, we have a lot of liability issues that we have to worry about. Someone gets hurt, town has the big pockets, we're the one that gets sued. So along the Oars Island Bridge, all of those wharves there are on, we thought was state property originally, but it's town land, and so we've had to lease those to people, and they've had to have insurance, so if anybody gets hurt, But, so there's some question as to whether it's actually on town land?
No, it is on,
No.
it's attached to town land.
It comes right off, almost abuts it. If we come a little shy and don't hit town land, would be any different?
Well, then you've got to worry about the setbacks.
Yeah. Well, it's a catch-22.
Yeah, yeah,
But you already got, everybody uses that anyway,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but
So,
it doesn't seem it right now, but it's a good deal. And we
Yeah, no, I
did it
agree.
fast
It's a
enough,
good
you
deal.
can
I mean,
get
we're-
going as soon as Emily gets the permit.
we want it to
All right.
happen, we'll make sure it happens, that's all. I mean, we
we've got to have it happen. I mean, we got 80% of the people on Sheep Island use it. You got 5 full-time fishermen. Either, if you don't pass it, you guys are going to have to help us carry traps,
we'll pass it.
all right? We need help.
We'll get it through.
All right.
I mean, we
Thank you.
want it, we're behind it, so. So I'll read that.
How's the permit coming, Emily? I looked at it today, looked like we're just missing an engineer stamp.
Only an engineer stamp, which I think is in the process.
I'm a little curious about structures that are on property without being charged for 7 years. Isn't that kind of like squatters' rights?
Are you rubbing that mic on purpose?
Town owned it, and they never charged them anything, there, now it's on property.
Are you rubbing that mic on purpose?
Oh, I don't care about that mic. I can scream loud now. Get by that.
It'll be, yeah.
You there? Yeah, he's there.
All right.
So, this seems like it's gonna be an ongoing thing where the town keeps trying to drown it out of Lobsterman. And one of this is this wharf that's been here since I was a little kid. And incidentally, I'm 76 years old. So I think that's more than grandfathered. It's a way of life in this town. If you don't think so, look at the town seal. Now the town's right on the verge of accepting a whole new bunch of regulations sent down by the state and FEMA, which is a joke, because they're concerned with Washington DC. As a permitter and a long-time experience in the dock building and permitting business, I've seen this town go from very easy to extremely difficult in a very short period of time. And I'm kind of wondering if it's going to keep on doing that. This is an example of it right here.
No, this is a solution.
A solution to what?
That Frank's Wharf was on town property, and back in the day, Howard Butler and Company said, okay, go ahead and put your wharf there.
They didn't charge them anything, no, did they?
No, neither are we.
They said, go ahead and put it there. Now they build a life around it.
Yeah,
And you're gonna make them lease it.
we're not charging anybody anything.
Not
We-
charging
we-
anything, anybody?
We're trying to help them out, get this thing going as fast as possible, which, for government, it's pretty fast.
Tell me about the government. You know what Ronald Reagan said?
No,
The only way to make government cheaper is eliminate government. Over, starts at the bottom. I just would like somebody to tell me why you keep making it more difficult for the commercial fishermen in this town.
we're not. What are we doing to make it more,
You've seen this new ordinance come down from the state where a 200 square foot bait shed, and that,
We're working on that, by the way.
I hope so, I really do hope so. As
So,
old as I am, I don't really give a hoot anyway, I'm not in the fishing business, but
we don't usually do back and forth here, but, yeah, wait and see they're working on changing. the
wait and
ordinance.
see, all
Wait,
right,
They're working on changing the ordinance.
wait and see. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
It's under our hands.
the thing, Ben, is I agree with you on things are getting more difficult, and the trouble is that people bring their lawyers with them now, and things aren't as easy and laid back as they used to be. We're just trying to keep up with it. We're trying to make things right.
Can I just add something? I just want to put it in my terms. I want to reverse what you folks are saying, making it harder for them. This is actually providing protection for you because a future select board without a legal lease with the right to stay there could potentially say, you're on town property, you don't have this legal agreement, and they could make you remove it. You have a lease with the town, you'll be protected. I just wanted you to see it as protection because that's how I see it for you.
That's the way I-
see the select board come in and make a commercial wharf disappear just because they didn't like it.
I know, that would be
I'm not
tough.
saying what reason would be, Ben. I don't know what future boards would do.
But legally, that's where it would be.
Okay, I'm just causing a stink here, so ignore me.
We try to. So I'll make the motion, it's rather long. I move we grant the provisional right, title, and interest to allow Francis Beekers to rebuild a wharf in the same location and of the same footprint being on 1 foot higher, subject to all permits being obtained before construction, and to undertake any construction at his own risk until the select board, being duly authorized by the town meeting, is able to execute a multi-year lease with the owner. How's that?
Second.
You can do it under the circumstances, I guess.
Yeah.
Let them pass it, before you start giving them him.
No,
No, I'm bragging them up, to tell you the truth.
no, I'm not gonna wait, see if there's any more comment.
I'm not blaming anybody personally, it's just,
No.
I've seen it a long time. Besides, I don't live in Harpswell anyway.
You keep us honest, Ben.
Yeah.
Where was I? You
Did
done?
they vote? Yeah.
They did not vote.
Moved and seconded.
We haven't voted yet.
Vote.
No, I know, that's why I said, I was waiting for the conversation to be over.
Moved and seconded, vote
All
quick.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
All right.
Now, when do we start?
What's that?
When do we start?
It's up to Emily.
As soon as we get the permit, which, supposedly Benny has, or Norman drew up plans.
Yeah.
They're working with an engineer. It was what Sandy told me. They were gonna get a stamp and that's the last piece.
We're gonna have a stamp.
As soon as they get the
Just
engineer.
Oh, you need the stamp?
That's the piece.
Can we
Missing piece.
start, because the tide's right, these are the big tides.
No,
When you get your permit, you can, yes.
You can't, not
As
till
soon
you
as we
get
get the engineer stamp and get it to them, then they.
Yep.
all right.
It's happening quick.
Lobster Day?
I'd say it's pretty quick. It's gonna happen quick.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, we won't bother you guys, thanks a lot.
that's all right.
But we're moved up.
All right.
Be good.
We're looking for a solution.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you, Cal.
See you.
Night.
Yeah, Emily.
Bye-bye.
Oh, anyway, we're a little late, but 6:15 public hearing for the Quahog Bay Conservancy closure request. And there's nobody here to speak for it.
Number is
Six.
that?
So this request was before you last year as well.
Yep.
So,
It's,
coming from your Marine Resource Committee to close Quahog Bay,
Let's see,
August 1 through
un-
December 1.
Unharmoniously approved, I bet.
what's that?
Unharmoniously approved.
Was this
By the
supposed to be
committee.
unanimously?
Yeah.
No,
Unharmonious.
I think Chairman Johnson attended that meeting and can address that.
I did. Yeah, not everybody's in favor of it, but
Oh.
it's an opportunity to give Quahog Bay a rest. Especially over the summer, if it gets dug, the smaller ones get turned over, the sun gets to them, the critters get to them, and they did it last year and it worked out well. When it reopened, the quahogs were there, and
Fat cohogs.
big fat quahogs, so. It's a good thing. It's a conservation measure. The board was unanimous. I believe Mary Ann was part of that.
Oh, the committee was
The
unanimous?
committee was, yeah,
Okay.
and just a few people in the crowd.
Got it.
Unharmonious.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's well said.
yeah. So seeing that there's nobody here to speak against it or for it, we'll close the meeting and put to a vote.
Sure, I move we close Cohog Bay from August 1st to December 1st on 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Hard to get back on track after that last item. Oh, aquaculture working group mission statement and draft letter to the marine resource.
So we got to get the rewrites here.
So the staff has been working on developing a draft mission statement for the aquaculture working group that the select board talked about forming. We did receive some input today from select board member Covey. I think it would improve the understanding of the mission statement. And I don't know if someone would like to read it or would like me to read it, what the proposed changes might be to that.
Go ahead,
I can
Christie.
read it, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, the aquaculture working group will undertake a comprehensive review of, and now we're talking about adding stakeholder concerns and interests regarding aquaculture in Harpswell, and continuing on, current Maine law and processes regarding the application for and authorization of aquaculture licenses and leases with Maine's Department of Marine Resources. Such review will include, and this is new language, a summary of stakeholder concerns, and then it continues on, and an understanding of the town's current role in providing input to DMR regarding aquaculture licenses and leases that are located in Harpswell waters. Based on the outcome of its review, the working group may consider making recommendations to the select board for actions that serve to, and we're looking at taking out the word protect and putting in that serve to sustainably and equitably manage the shared waters and their resources in Harpswell. And that would be the proposed mission statement.
Yeah. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Good job, Jane.
Thank you.
The wordsmith.
Yeah. And then I'll pick up the last
sure.
part. I'm also suggesting that we add to the next paragraph, the board should consider 7 to 9 members, appointing 7 to 9 members with representation of various stakeholders, including shellfish harvester, aquaculture owner, commercial lobsterman, and a representative from the Harbor and Waterfront Committee. I am suggesting adding that because that committee is the one who reviews the leases and so on.
Yeah, they do.
And am assuming that the Marine Resources Committee, which originated this,
Yeah.
will have a representative on the working group.
Yep, I think 7's plenty.
I do too. Yeah, I do.
Gets a little unwieldy after that.
It does.
It does. I have experience with that.
I am right now.
Yeah. So we consider appointing 7 then?
Yep,
7 members.
Including
Okay.
selectman liaison and harbor master. So
Yeah.
maybe 11 people, but 7 members from outside the townhouse.
And I believe we have been, taking a list of folks who
Yeah.
have shown interest, but we should remind people to continue to submit their name or application to the town if they're interested in serving on this working group.
Well,
Done.
I move that we accept the draft, the edited draft of May 9th, and with 7 members.
Second.
All in favor?
The only other thing I would ask, I just thought of this, do you want any associate members?
No.
Okay.
At this point, yeah. And just to add to the mission, I had a brief conversation with Paul Plummer earlier today, because I was, know that in the the workshops that we've had, the 2 workshops, that there were other issues that were brought forth and possible activities that the town might like to take. And his understanding, which I support very much, is that this is the first stage. So the review, the assessment, and the recommendations then would bring forth whatever this group thinks we ought to consider as additional steps and actions going forward.
Great.
Okay.
Did we also want to discuss, there was a draft letter to DMR
Yeah,
and some suggested changes to that.
I'm trying to apply the edits.
Yeah, I would be happy to
Okay.
read through that. And-
Yes, please.
And to prelude to that was, as I read it, I thought it would be good to clarify a little bit and make it consistent with the mission of the working group, and present our request for engagement with the DMR in a way that is as positive as we can make it. So I'll read through it. The first two paragraphs, there are no changes at all that I'm suggesting. Dear Commissioner Patrick Kelleher, the Harpswell Select Board has been advised by numerous committees within the town that are familiar with the working waterfront that there is a growing concern about the competing uses in the shared waters of Harpswell, specifically with agriculture. Second paragraph, after a recommendation from the Harpswell Marine Resources Committee to enact a moratorium on all new and pending aquaculture leases and licenses, the Harpswell Select Board has opted to form an aquaculture work group to better understand the issues and concerns that are arising between the shared water users. The work group, which will consist of stakeholders including lobstermen, scallop harvesters, aquaculturists, and other working waterfront members, will take a closer look at the issues and make recommendations to the Select Board. So that's basically summarizing the mission. And then beginning with paragraph 3, I'm suggesting some edits. The Harpswell Select Board is aware of the letters that were sent to municipalities in August of 2022 and again in October of 2023 explaining the state's exclusive jurisdiction over aquaculture. I'm suggesting that we continue with "and your plans." In the second letter, in the October letter, they talk about improving communication. So include "and your plans to better facilitate municipal engagement with your leasing and licensing process." In addition to following these efforts, the Select Board invites DMR, spelled out, Department of Marine Resources representatives to discuss our particular concerns and potential ways we might address them constructively. And then for the last paragraph, make sure I'm following myself correctly.
So you want to leave out the part where they had previously declined?
Yes, yes. Take out what didn't happen and look forward to what we'd like to have happen.
Okay.
And then in in paragraph 4, begin as it is, the Harpswell Select Board is offering an invitation again to the Department of Marine Resources to meet with the town officials to discuss, remove that. Change that paragraph in toto. So
Take that right out
paragraph 4,
completely.
delete the first draft.
Yep.
Paragraph 4, with a proud fishing heritage, 216 miles of coastline, and as one of the top fishing ports in the state of Maine, the town of Harpswell is committed to sustaining our working waterfront fishing businesses amidst the challenges facing them. With this in mind, the town of Harpswell respectfully seeks assistance from the Department of Marine Resources as we navigate our concerns related to agriculture. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully, us.
So, you don't think opting for a meeting then?
Well, we said it in third paragraph. If
True,
you'd like to
yeah.
say it again, yes.
Reiterate. Make sure they know.
Yeah.
Respectfully, I just kept that final,
Just say in the end, looking forward to meeting with you.
Thank you for consideration of our request for a meeting.
Yep,
Okay, yep.
that'll work.
Sorry that this did not come in electronic form, so that's why I didn't
Oh,
retype the whole
yeah.
thing. I apologize
Yeah.
for making it more difficult to follow.
I'd read the whole thing, I just read the draft the other day.
Yeah,
If you want to make the motion, I'll second it.
all right. I move that
I'll
we.
let you work through that.
Everything I just said?
I move that we accept the recommended edits to the letter to the Department of Marine Resources as presented in the materials we received and spoken in the meeting.
I guess that works. I'll second it.
Did we want to consider maybe the chairman resources signing on there, or keep it at just select board level?
Well, we're saying the select board is requesting it, so I think probably the select board,
Okay.
and maybe, as far as I'm concerned, it could be Kevin, you as the chair of select board signing it.
Oh, I think all three of us are.
You want to do that? Okay?
Yeah, that's a
All
little
right.
more impactful.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, moved and seconded it.
All in favor?
Right.
Thank you.
Committee appointments.
So at the last meeting, the select board reviewed annual committee appointments and made many, but there were some new applicants, and we received a couple also since that meeting that staff has reviewed along with the committees. And so before you this evening for consideration is Ann Caldwell to be appointed as a associate member of the Conservation Commission. There's two associate positions available. And then there's two associate positions available on Harbor and Waterfront. And Jerry Lehman III and Jason Hillman have applied to become members. And for Recreation, there's two applicants, and currently there's 6 full members and 1 associate. And it's being recommended by the Recreation Director to appoint Scott Gill as a regular member and Mark Weaver as an associate.
Well, I move that we appoint Ann Caldwell as an associate to the Conservation Commission. You want to do all three of them at the same time?
Yeah.
In case someone might have an objection on one of them. All right, and then I move that we appoint Jerry Lehman and Jason Hillman as associates on the Harbor and Waterfront, and Scott Gill as a regular member, and Mark Weaver as an associate on Recreation.
Are there currently 7 members on the Harbor Waterfront?
Yes, and
Okay.
and they're full, but they have
Yeah, 2
two.
associate.
Yes.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Request for use of Mitchell Field for memorial service.
So this is probably one that's very near and dear to many of us. Robert Motor, of course, Bob Motor, who was very instrumental in constructing and then having the town accept the bandstand, the actual physical bandstand building at Mitchell Field, and then helping and be the chair of the bandstand committee for many years, organizing, getting bands to come and perform. Of course, he did sadly pass away, and his daughter, Robin, is requesting use of Mitchell Field, particularly the bandstand, for a memorial concert on July 14th. And it would be just a really nice thing in Bob's honor to waive the fee for use of that.
I was going to say,
Concert.
I move that we approve and waive the fee.
Second.
All in favor? Draft letter to Harpswell Community Television Broadcast Corporation Board of Directors.
So the administration has been working with Select Board member Jane Covey on drafting a letter for the full board to consider. It would be from this board to the Board of Directors of Harpswell Community Broadcasting, Corporation, and we have listed the members of that board on this letter. We have bulleted the areas that we think are the primary areas of conversation and discussion, should we set this up in the next couple of weeks. We're proposing a couple of dates to their board. Thursday afternoons tend to be good, so we've suggested May 30th or June 6th from 4:30 to 6. We really would like a majority of the board of directors to be able to attend from community broadcasting. So if that doesn't work, if either of those dates do not work, we'd like them to propose something else. We will also include a copy of the 5-year agreement that the town signed with HCBC and the last 2 memorandums of understanding. So everyone has the same sort of background, context of, what our current agreement say and how we're sort of, moving forward in some of these areas. You need that information to, I think, be better prepared for the discussion. So we did receive a public comment from Gary Vincent. He asked this board to consider adding a couple of other areas of discussion at your workshop, so I just wanted to point that out. He was suggesting you might want to talk about succession plans, future investments, and even consider a standing committee that the town might appoint. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I'm gonna stay out of it, what you guys talk
Well, we're just gonna set up a meeting.
about.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm free.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter what it is.
Did you want any changes to the letter, I think is the question that I have. Are you fine with this draft? Do you want to add anything to this draft?
I don't think so. I think we just have a meeting with board of directors and
I would agree. I'd like to keep
Okay.
it within the areas that we've identified. And there's always opportunity, there's always opportunity for more conversation and more meetings if we need it.
Okay. And the chairman of the board would sign the letter. We'd set it up for that. Okay, great.
Sure.
Perfect.
All righty. Ooh, transfer station fee increase for reclaim.
You know, I was gonna buy some reclaim the other day, I thought I better get it quick before the price goes up. That would be
you
insider
did.
trading, wouldn't it?
Oh, by the way, they're out.
I know, that was quick.
Whoops.
I might take a peek myself. Any Dowdy Pointers listening right now, there's a grader on our road.
Oh,
They're starting tomorrow.
Whoa.
And if you've been down Dowdy Point, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, oh gee.
It is not good.
So anyways, town cost has increased, and so this request is to increase the price per ton of reclaim from $33 per ton to $35 per ton.
I also move.
And second.
All in favor? But since they don't have any, I don't know what the problem is. Letter of support for the Oars Bailey Island Fire Department grant application.
So the Oars Bailey Island Fire Department is applying for a Project Canopy grant, and Mary Ann Naif worked with the treasurer of the Oars Bailey Island Fire Station, and is comfortable with obviously comfortable with their wanting to protect their ash trees. And so there's a draft letter of support if the board sees appropriate to approve it.
So, there's not much here to describe it, but is this spraying for the ash borer, or, I mean, what are we doing?
Mary Ann, are you able to answer that?
How many trees they got?
I know, not too many ash trees left in Harpswell.
Bring it down.
There you go.
Well, Ben had it over his head, so
That's true.
It was under his armpit there for a while.
Mary Ann Ney from the Conservation Commission. Yes, I had the opportunity to talk with Kathy, and they've hired Jeff Gillis, who is a certified arborist and very, very conscientious arborist in town. And they're going to apply injection. There is, and it's following actually the state standard. I pulled out the, I'm going to back up a second. emerald ash borer is one of the invasive pests that is killing off ash trees, and there's, so the process that the state is looking at is to treat them until the infection dies out on the older trees. They're suggesting a number of ways, but what Jeff is doing is one of the less invasive type. He is injecting, I forget the name of the product. Similar to what we do for brown-tail moth. It's stem injection into the trunk of the tree at various spots. The application is supposed to last 2 years, I believe, is the first time, and then you would retreat, and then the next time it would last 3 or more years. You would probably continue this treatment on a periodic basis until the area is cleared of younger ash trees, I guess, or those that could get infected. So I felt, after talking to her, the plan that they had put into effect is certainly within the guidelines of our ordinance, and they don't even need a waiver for that particular application. It's not near the water. That there was, good thought. Tim Vale as the town forester,
A tree warden.
tree warden, I always forget his title,
That's an old term.
was also out on the project.
Good. Thank you.
Well, I move that we provide the letter of support for this grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Like,
Now we gotta go by and see the trees. I've never even noticed them.
I know.
No.
So they're in behind the old schoolhouse and.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Little Mark Island Monument update.
Well, we have an update. The National Park Service has been reviewing the joint application from the Presumpscot Foundation and the town of Harpswell to acquire and be a steward of Little Mark Island and Monument. They have done a very thorough review. I mean, there are different departments that do various reviews of different parts of the application, but we did receive this follow-up communication, and they asked very specific questions of the Presumpscot Foundation and the town of Harpswell. I think they were really keying in on the town of Harpswell being ready to step in the hypothetical situation that the Presumpscot Foundation could not fulfill its obligations. I've been in discussion with Ford Reike, who's the president of the Presumpscot Foundation, and he understands we need to respond, but he does think this is, kind of a low risk for the town. And he understands that we have a town meeting form of government, and so ultimately, it would be the town meeting that would have to decide at some future time, should this application be approved, should the Presumpscot Foundation not be able to fulfill all the obligations that it's outlined, which are very substantial, and they're taking on all the financial obligations to get the property in good shape. But for whatever reason, if something happens there, Ford understands, and we need to make sure the National Park Service understands that there would have to be a town meeting in Harpswell, and it would ultimately be up to the voters. I think what we're looking for right now is this board to say, at this time, based on the information you have, you would take this forward, you would recommend this to the town meeting.
It's-
It's worded in a way that,
Right,
this is
proposed
kind of
motion.
based on what we know, and
Yeah.
Right.
who knows about the future, right?
Right.
The only
So-
obligation we have to make as a select board is that we promise to support it at town meeting.
Yep.
But you would take it forward and,
Yeah.
recommend it, so.
Exactly.
I'm willing, and I'll make that motion, the long motion. In the hypothetical situation where the Presumpscot Foundation at some point in the future defaulted in its obligation to the federal government relative to Little Mark Island and the monument, and the town had the opportunity to step into those rights and obligations, including stewardship, it would be the recommendation of this select board to the town meeting voters that that same should be approved. This is based on conditions that are presently understood, but future conditions cannot be certain.
Second. I have the easy part.
That's quick.
All in favor?
So I think we're feeling like the application is in a really good place, and these are clarifications, but the process takes a while.
We just don't want anything to be dropped.
No.
I am.
I ran into him last week, and he seems pretty
Optimistic.
optimistic, things are going pretty good,
About
yeah.
it, about it.
Yeah. Waiting in the wings is our treasurer report.
Good evening, Terry Gaudette, the town treasurer. Here to report on the town's finances as of April 30th, 2024. The town had cash balances of just over $3 million. 2023 taxes outstanding was just over $61,000. The tax collector is sending 30-day notices next week. They'll have to be paid, 30 days later in June, which always tends to result in some good payments at that time. Other year's taxes outstanding is just over $22,000, which includes the liens outstanding for the 2022 tax year, which would be subject to foreclosure in December if they remain unpaid. And of course, we'll work with them, give them plenty of notice. On the revenue and expense side, non-property tax revenue available to reduce the taxes is just under $1 million, basically 33% of the forecast, which is where you want to be at 4 months into the year, or ahead, of course. The town received its initial insurance payment, just over $30,000 for storm damage, the January storms, damage relating to the town's dock, and town buildings. But, we disputed that amount, and so that's a initial amount, and the claim remains open, continuing to work on that. And, excise tax is always slower the first quarter of the year, but it is trending upwards and is already ahead of 2023. Mooring and shellfish license revenues, they reflect basically fully received or almost due to the dates that they were due, May 1 and March 31st. Interest, of course, I've reported is doing very well due to our change in our interest relationship with the bank. And permits are ahead of the 4-month forecast. And on the expense side, the budget was approved by voters on March 9th, and the expenses have been following historical experience. We're getting a lot of the new items underway, such as the hiring that the board has been approving, and hoping we can get going on that. One expense that was funded by ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, was the heating assistance program, so we expended just under $29,000. Voters had approved last year $20,000 coming from American Rescue Plan Act funds. So when you do look at your report, it does look like heat was reduced to expenses of $8,800, but it's actually $28,850 to reflect the ARPA fund expenditure in that account. Reserve expenditures include contract payments for the vehicles by Cumberland County, Marine Patrol, expenses for this media room, upgrade, the purchase of emergency communications equipment, which there was another payment on tonight's warrant for that. Improvements to Little Island Road after the devastating January storms, and engineering relating to the recycling center Phase 2 project. Back on the revenue side, the town is expecting, Verizon has applied for and will be going on the tower at Mitchell Field, so we will be expecting a $35,000 payment, which will also go, voters had approved to put that towards our emergency communications reserve as well, so that would go to that. And have not drawn down on our short-term borrowing yet, but we'll need to next week as the school payment is due, so that will be the first drawdown next week. And that concludes my report. And of course, the select board was provided with the monthly reports. And if you have a question, and if there's questions, you can always come and ask. Thank you.
If I could only formulate one.
Good point. Let's see here. Public comment, we don't have any of that. Other business, what do we got here?
So if you could consider appointing, the appointment of a deputy fire warden was missed when we did our full officials. And so we are asking for you to appoint, reappoint Frank Hilton as the deputy fire warden.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
And then one
We
of
can
the
start think-
items, oh, go-
When do we start thinking about the non-resident taxpayers meeting? That came up last night in conversation.
oh, okay. We have tended to look around that July 4th timeframe,
Oh, okay.
more or less, but
Everybody's
I don't
here.
know.
Yeah. Now, we wait till the end of the month.
Okay. With that special town meeting looming, we haven't spent a lot of time thinking about the non-resident taxpayer meeting
No,
yet,
but
but,
it came up at the meeting last night.
okay,
Quickly,
yeah.
you know.
Do you have any preference?
No.
Do you want it as soon as, like, the end of June? Do you want mid-July?
Oh, yeah, you know, somewhere around 4th of July week, maybe,
Okay.
maybe a little after.
Okay.
Did we do like the 9th one year? I don't know, I remember that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
catch as many people as possible.
we can give the exact same update on the comp plan we gave them last year.
Oh, a year later, dollar richer, right?
My hair was black.
Yeah. I have just, do you have other
Oh, I
business?
wanted to
Yeah.
ask the board, so we're gonna be working on the warrant for the June 15th special town meeting, and we're suggesting it should start at 10 o'clock in the morning. Are you fine with
I
that?
just wrote that down, so.
Okay,
I guess
so
I'm good with it.
I think you should, that should be a motion to start
I
the
move that we
special
start.
town meeting at 10
I move we
a.m.
start the special
On-
June 15th town meeting
Okay.
at 10 o'clock,
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
10 a.m.
Yeah,
I just would add, this is really an announcement that I didn't think of at the beginning of the meeting, but Terry's report about paying our school commitment reminded me that I believe it's next Thursday, the 16th, the SAD 75 will have its budget public meeting, and everyone is invited to come to listen and to vote. The vote of that meeting will bring the budget to our, whatever day it is in June.
yeah, that June
June,
date.
whatever,
I'm not sure what it is either off the top of my head.
ballot.
Yeah,
It's a validation of the
yeah,
budget.
Yeah.
never missed.
So the decision kind of gets made on the 16th of May.
Right, that's
Yes.
exactly right.
So if anybody's interested, they might want to be there.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's that date again?
16,
16th.
next Thursday, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I have to look at, let me look at the time, it's in my calendar. Oops, except I forgot my phone. Around 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like that,
That sounds right.
yeah.
Anyway,
All right, but at this point, we'll move into executive session pursuant to MRS 1, 401C, personnel evaluation.